Okay, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to another Battle for Azeroth video, the second one of today in fact, and this was just some really crazy spoilers that I felt like I had to share. So before we get into this, this is going to be a very heavy spoiler video for Battle for Azeroth, so if you guys aren't interested in learning about that story right now, be sure to click off this video right now, okay? So with all that being said, we're moving it forward, and I had stumbled across this article from actually the Red Shirt guy. I met him at the Warcraft movie premiere way back whenever the premiere happened in California. And I saw him create this article and I read through it and I just was very amazed at the awesome work that he had put forth in finding this new information about Orgrimmar and Stormwind and the storylines within these new buildings that have been created. This is something that I think is really worth checking out, so be sure to go check it down in the link in the description. Ian did an awesome job explaining his experience, and I'm going to go ahead and relay the story as it is to you guys, my audience. So let's start at the story. Basically, Ian and a group of people that he has networked with, basically at BlizzCon, had played through the entirety of the Zandalar zone that was available, the Zandalar and the Koltaras zone. And beyond that, there was actually so much that he had already done. He had gone through the line again to play the demo, but had noticed that there were some new buildings actually available in Orgrimmar and Stormwind. So when he got to his demo, he created a level 1 character instead of the template that was available for him, and actually went to Orgrimmar to find out that there was a new building that was added to both Orgrimmar and Stormwind called the Embassy. So basically you're going to see this embassy building, and one of them represents like a town hall for the Horde, and one of them actually represents a barracks, like a medium barracks for the Alliance. And where this is kind of funny. It's actually like in Orgrimmar, it's where the Goblin slums used to be. So like literally like they picked up, they like got the broom and they just swept it across, laid poor people, poor goblins, and they built this embassy for all the new immigrants that had that were about to join. I just thought that was kind of funny. But there's also the Stormwind Embassy, which is next to Uther's Tomb and the northmost farm area that actually used to be like my jumping spot in Cataclysm. So when you get into this embassy, and here's where things get really interesting. These embassies are buildings, and when you walk into these townhomes or these buildings, you find a set of captains. So for Horde, you actually have Sylvanas Windrunner, obviously the war chief of the Horde, Varrock Sarfang, High Warlord Sarfang, Bane Bloodhoof, the leader of the Tauren, Lady Liadrin, the leader of the Blood Elves, or one of the leaders of the Blood Elves, Rockhan, Lorthamar, Theron, Trade Prince Gallywix, G Firepaw, Eitrig, and Nathanos Blightcaller. So some really, really great names within the Horde. And then within the Alliance Town Hall or the Alliance Embassy, the Stormwind Embassy, you find Anduin Wrynn, Turalyon, Alaria Windrunner, Tyrande Whisperwind, Velen, Gen Greymane, High Tinker Mechatork, Muradin Bronzebeard, Asa Cloudsinger, and here's the crazy one. Within the Alliance Town Hall, within the Alliance Embassy, you find Raytheon. And Raytheon's actually sitting in like a corner by himself, not talking to anyone, but he's not in the Horde Embassy. So that's really raising some questions in my mind right now. But basically all of these Horde leaders and these Alliance leaders have come together, and Raytheon, who's just there, and that is really crazy, they all come together, and they all are this is after the cinematic. Basically, they have basically decided that they are in need of new allied races to come, and this is the story behind this. So very first, we're going to talk about the Horde and kind of like how that interacts with the High Mounted Tauren basically being proposed to Sylvanas by Bane. Bane suggests that he's going to throw a banquet in Mulgore for the High Mountain chieftains and try to convince them to join their cause against the Alliance. What's kind of like weird about this is Sylvanas is like super dismissive in the dialogue, like whatever, they're not that powerful, but she feels that they're useful frontline soldiers, and that's really interesting because Sylvanas is like dismissive because she just feels like the High Mountain Tauren and the Tauren in general are just brutes, and that they're not really like super useful when it comes to combat. But she does give the go ahead and like try to pursue the High Mountain Tauren and join the Horde with that. And now I think that's just kind of funny that she just dismisses the High Mountain tribe just like that. But it is an interesting dialogue to kind of show where Sylvanas and her loyalties lie, and like kind of where she feels with her horde, with her armies. And then they have the Nightborn, and basically Lady Liadrin feels that she has a very solid relationship with the Nightborn after the insurrection in Suramar, and now she feels that she does have the ability to recruit them into the Horde. The Nightborn are really, really torn between the two factions, but Lady Liadrin believes that she's able to, with some encouragement, get the Nightfallen or the Nightborn to join the Horde, which is really cool. And Sylvanas reacts to this in a really interesting way, and she actually reacts to this so positively and is way above what she thought about the High Mountain Tauren. She like dismissed them, and like when she hears about the Nightborn being a possible ally, she gets really excited about that, and she's very interested in the magical powers that the Nightborn have to offer. So that might be a storyline that we see, maybe Sylvanas with her immortality quest, her thirst for being able to create an eternal life, or rebirth a ton of different Forsaken. Maybe that will come into play with this Nightborn quest line. And you can actually choose in these embassies, like you hear all of these different conversations between these leaders, both Alliance and Horde, and you actually choose which race you're going to pursue first and which quest line you're going to pursue first. I would imagine that this is going to be similar to like the Mage Tower, whenever you choose which artifact appearance you want to do first and which quest line. But moving on, I want to talk about the Alliance interactions and the interactions between all of the different Alliance captains that are in this embassy. And I did not see any information on like Raytheon. There was no dialogue presented by Ian in this article about Raytheon. He was just kind of silent and off in the distance in the building, like not really doing anything. So that's going to be really interesting to explore whenever available. But first up is going to be the Lightforged Draenei. Basically, Turalyon doesn't have anything to do after the Legion is done, and the Army of the Light are kind of just off doing their own thing. They're a neutral faction at this point, and Turalyon basically pledges himself back into the Alliance. He says he's proud to join the Alliance, and he's back into the faction. But the thing is that like the Army of the Light, while Turalyon may be one of the leaders of the Army of the Light, he doesn't necessarily just like command them entirely. So the Army of the Light have basically taken these Draenei, these regular Draenei that have joined them in the battle on Argus, and have chosen a few of these initiates from the regular Draenei race to become Lightforged. And Turalyon proposes to Anduin that he will basically talk to the Army of the Light and consult with them in order to join the Alliance at that specific ceremony where those Draenei become Lightforged. So that's going to be a really interesting storyline to follow. And last but not least, we have the Void Elves to talk about. And the Void Elves are really cool because Alleria discovers a group of these exiled Blood Elves that like have tampered with Void magic and have been sent away from Silvermoon City by the Blood Elf race. And Alleria chooses to train these elves and harness the Void with them and learn more about the Void and how they can practice this magic. And Anduin reacts in a very skeptical manner because he does not trust Void magic, and since Void magic is considered illegal in the Horde, based on like how this interaction had gone, it's very skeptical for Anduin to kind of take this along as well. But he does trust Alleria wholeheartedly, and he allows Alleria to pursue this endeavor and this ambition to recruit these elves and make them Void Elves, right? So I'm really excited to see all of these. There's actually something else I wanted to talk about that I thought was worth mentioning, is that the way that Ian starts this article off and the way that he perceives and experiences these dialogues between these characters, because I haven't seen these dialogues personally, so I'm going off of what I trust his opinion to be. Anduin, he speaks of desperation almost. It seems that Anduin feels that he needs new allies after the aggression of the Horde. And the opening cinematic for Battle of Azeroth is actually the Alliance attacking the Undercity. So with all that being said, I feel that what's going to happen in Battle for Azeroth, and this is totally just speculation, is I feel that Greymane and Anduin are going to attack the Undercity first. I feel that that's going to happen, and I feel that they're going to lose the battle. I think that overall the Alliance will try their best, and I think they'll do a ton of damage to Undercity, but I think that they will fail, and I think that the burning of Teldrassil will be a reaction of the Horde in a very aggressive manner, obviously taking out an entire capital city and civilization of the Night Elves in reaction to the Undercity. And that's just kind of like my prediction of that storyline. I feel that there's going to definitely be a lot going back and forth, but just the way that the dialogue was presented by Ian and his experiences, I feel like the dialogue had been shown in a manner that says that the Alliance are more desperate than the Horde to find allies, and that leads me to believe that the allies are really hurting. The Alliance are really, really hurting, and they're needing these allies, and that's why Anduin is available, or is making himself available to bring void magic into the cause, and that's something that he's never done before, and is something that a lot of his allies will probably disagree with. So that's just my thoughts on it, guys. I know that this is definitely a very heavy lore video, and I cannot wait to dive into the actual gameplay of things, but right now there is a lot of really cool stuff that's coming, and I just wanted to share this stuff with you for everyone that was interested and did not really care about spoilers. But I definitely want to hear what you guys think in reaction to this. And I had not mentioned, but the Dark Iron Dwarves and the Zandalar Trolls were not actually mentioned in this dialogue, and were not available in the embassies whenever Ian had explored through it, which leads me to believe that you're going to be seeing those characters kind of released later on as you're leveling up, in comparison to immediately right there. And it's possible that the dwarves just weren't implemented yet because they're already in the game, but the Zandalar, I imagine you would recruit them after you're done with getting to level 120 or whatever, or exploring Zandalar as a whole. But yeah, I definitely want to hear your guys' opinions on what I've shared with you today. I want to give a huge shout out to Ian and the Blizz Planet for basically giving me this information and allowing me to create my own opinion and sharing it with you guys. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give a big thumbs up to support the channel, and you can also subscribe to my videos in order to keep updated with my Battle for Azeroth news, my Warcraft news. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow.